All right, we'll do roll call.
Okay.
Kate Day,
Here.
Chad Hawk,
Here.
Aldo Revito,
Here.
Ashley Royal, Maria Surprise,
Here.
Mark Francis,
Here.
Pete Palace. Well, it says public comments, but you can go ahead.
No, they're public. Public want to talk.
Move on to the next agenda item, public comments on any agenda items. Have anybody commenting? No? We need a motion to approve the minutes of the April 23rd, 2024 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the April 23rd, 2024 meeting.
I second.
That's actually the minutes, not the meeting. It's
Minutes. Minutes.
I second the minutes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to agenda item number 6.
Are we gonna do 3? I mean 4?
Yeah, we got
Can we
to
do? Oh, swearing in. Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
Fire.
I guess I'm anxious to get through this.
That's okay.
Screwed up already.
So we've got, I'm gonna do, the alternate members separate and then the regular members separate. So the regular ones that should be here, Maria, Kate, and Chad, do you mind joining me up here, please?
Mhm.
You were just out walking, weren't you?
I was, maybe
I
it's
thought I
just,
saw you by my house.
maybe
I'm
it's,
like,
haven't recovered
I
yet.
saw her walking.
Okay, you guys are all going to raise your right hand and put your left hand on the Bible and please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Maria Surprise,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and maintain
that I will support and maintain
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution and laws
of North Carolina,
of North Carolina,
not inconsistent therewith,
not inconsistent therewith,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of my office
the duties of my office
as a regular member
as a regular member
to the Planning and Zoning Board
to the Planning and Zoning Board
for the town of Holden
for the town of Holden Beach.
Beach.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I just need everybody to sign this for me, please. They're right here. If you guys could just sign them
Oh, we gotta
really
sign
quick so you can be official. Thank you.
A little blood.
Thank you.
I need your blood with you. And then Mark, if you want to come.
Oh, right here we go. Yep.
You get to put your left hand on the Bible and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mark Francis,
Do solemnly
There you
swear
go.
that I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith,
Oh, thank you.
and that I will faithfully discharge
And here we are.
the duties of my office as an alternate member to the Planning and Zoning Board for the town of Holden Beach. So help me God. I just need you to sign for me too. Thank you.
Do you want me to sign as quick?
Yeah, you can just keep them. I'll get them afterwards. Thank you. And you guys have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Perfect.
Well, I'd like to say congratulations to our new board members. and Welcome.
Thank you.
Appreciate you being here and taking the time.
Thank you.
Now I guess we can move down the list.
Yes.
So do we have to do number 5 over again, or we're good on that, being that they weren't sworn in?
Okay.
We're good?
You're good.
Okay. Number 6 will be discussion and possible action on the meeting schedule dates for calendar year 2025. I think they're all still the third Tuesday of the month. Is that correct?
The 4th.
I mean, the fourth Tuesday. Motion to accept? Anybody?
I accept. A second.
It's approved. Do I have to hit this again? All right. Okay, number 7, discussion and possible action for amending town ordinance 157-085, relocation of buildings. So we're just removing that blurb, removing the Board of Adjustment, Tim?
I'm going to explain it.
Okay.
I think we need a mic.
I have to be recorded.
Been here a long time. Ever since I've been here, there was a history prior to me getting here where we had a lot of storms and stuff, and they required the temporary approval for homes and stuff to be moved onto other lots. And a lot of times those lots didn't belong to the property owners, and they would have special permission to move them. And because it was outside the norms of a regular, any kind of zoning or anything, it always went to the Board of Adjustments. Well, that language remained in there. And the language itself was contradictory to the North Carolina Building Code, in as such, it required for a third-party approval for a permit that they had no authority to approve. And so what it did was, even the Board of Adjustments realized it wasn't a redundant process that cost the property owners money and also cost them time. Because the Board of Adjustments could basically just give approval to move, but that was it. To move is not approval to get a permit. Doesn't mean you have to meet the building code requirements, doesn't have to meet all the statutory requirements, because they don't have the authority to approve that. And so they recognized that that was actually instigated at the Board of Adjustments to ask to have that provision removed. So basically, what it used to do was that they would have to go to the Board of Adjustments if they wanted to move a structure and get approval to move the structure. Now, can't issue a permit. We couldn't issue a permit to move onto a lot they didn't own. We couldn't issue a permit for a structure to move, even if they said it was okay. If the structure was in such bad shape, it couldn't move, because we are charged by the state, me and Carrie as certified officials, to make that determination. So what this does is it basically says that now if they want to move a structure, right, it would be like any other construction. They would have to bring all the stuff that was needed by us. They would have to fill out a permit to move it. We would have to go look at it like we did before, because not only did the Board of Adjustments have to approve it, we did too. We would have to say it's okay to move, you know what I mean? And so it basically puts it where it's supposed to be. Now, if they wanted to move it onto a lot that was non-conforming, where they couldn't meet the setbacks or the zoning rules, they'd have to go to the Board of Adjustments, because that would fall within their purview. So the worst part of it was they could get caught in a catch-22. They could get caught where we said it was okay, the Board of Adjustment said it wasn't. Or they could get caught where the Board of Adjustment says it was okay, after they've spent their time and money for all the stuff that's required, and then we say it's not. So this actually saves them money, it saves them time, and takes away the confusion. Because we have a lot of homes that get removed from an oceanfront lot, set on a second lot, it gets upgraded, and a new house gets built on ocean. Happens more than you know. Or the house on oceanfront gets torn down. But for the most part, that's what happens. So that's what this does. It removes the Board of Adjustments out of that section of our ordinances, and allows them to come directly to the building code, to the building department.
Any discussion or questions?
Yeah, so I had a quick question, so, and sorry if I'm missing the bigger picture. So the relocation of buildings is the only change, what was in red here that was stricken?
Yep, that's all we took out. Yeah.
Okay. And that puts it on equal footing with what's required by the state?
Yep, yeah. If you go to move that building, the way it works under the building code, if you come to us to apply to move that building, and we go out there and it's in such a dilapidated condition, it can't be moved, you're basically having to build a brand new building anyway. We're gonna require you to bring the whole thing up to code. You see what I'm saying? So at that point, it's not gonna be movable. But if it is movable and you bring it to us, then you have to go out and get an engineer to design everything that you're about to attach it to. You know what I mean? And then we approve it once we get that engineer. So and so you can see how you're ready to move, you're ready to rebuild. You can't do neither until you get a hearing before the Board of Adjustments. And that's the only thing we're doing is taking that
There's one question I have. Is there a reason why we've stricken out the last sentence, though, where you don't notify the folks?
Well, you're not, if you build on your, if you build on your property and it does, if you're building on your property and requires a camera permit, the adjacent property owners are gonna get notified. If you build on your property and it doesn't, if it's in one of our X zones or in one of the areas that doesn't require a permit, there's no statutory law in North Carolina requires you to notify the adjacent property to build it. I mean, that's just the freedom of your property to build it. And of course, you know, they gotta follow the same rules as everybody else when they go to build on it. So, yeah.
Any other questions? Make a motion to approve?
I make a motion to approve item 7, which is, I guess, the relocation of buildings adjustments.
Anybody second?
Second.
We didn't vote on it?
Sorry.
Okay. You vote on it, that's fine. Now you got to vote for us to bring you a consistency statement back. We have to bring you a consistency statement back, and what that amounts to is that we will bring you a consistency statement back where we make sure this is not in conflict with the
Okay.
CAMA land use plan and any other plan that we may have, and we'll bring you the consistency statement back. You will then vote on that consistency statement, which will then release it for us to take it to the board, to the Board of Commissioners.
Commissioners, okay.
Yeah. Board, it will then get advertised. They will then say, okay, let's advertise it.
Mhm.
So it goes through that process, so y'all understand.
Okay,
Yeah, they
So
will then
then-
advertise it, so it'll go to 2 boards there,
right.
where they'll also get their own consistency statement. So
Okay, so we're gonna vote to approve
you
it?
could vote to approve the text amendments today,
Okay,
and to have us bring you the consistency statement back for approval.
okay.
It's not valid till y'all approve the consistency
Consistency
statement.
statement, gotcha. So we're gonna take a vote.
Yep.
Have Tim bring us back to approve the language in the thing, and then have Tim bring us a consistency statement.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All nays? So the vote's unanimous. Okay, we're gonna move on to number 8. The possible text amendment to Town Ordinance 157.060 to allow cargo platform lifts in the rear, in the front and rear setbacks.
Okay, this one also was instigated by the Board of Adjustments, and what happened was is that, well, as y'all know, we have a elderly leaning community, and we have a lot of requests for cargo lifts. And because we have a limited lot size area, a lot of times, or a great portion of the time, these cargo lift applications, because these lifts, cargo lifts will end up in the setbacks, are required to go to the Board of Adjustments. And it makes it very hard to find a location to put them, especially on canal lots and things like that. But they're almost always gonna be a hardship if it's an elderly person that's trying to ask for it. So the Board of Adjustment asked us to bring forward a text amendment that would allow cargo lifts and platform lifts, which is that designation under ASME, to be allowed in the setbacks.
Just front and back, nothing else?
Just the front and rear. Side setbacks are 5 feet, you can't put them in there.
Right.
But it does allow them to put them in the front and back. That would keep them having to alter their decks and stuff to stay within their setback requirement.
And Tim, that platform lift, I assume that phraseology's for somebody if they've got a wheelchair, is that right? Or-
Yeah, it's a cargo lift or platform lift, it's not an elevator. If you, elevators, and I made myself a note here because I knew it would come up, but that ASME A18.1 is the building code requirements for platform lifts and cargo lifts. It's different for elevators.
Elevators.
And elevators will become part of the structure, you can't have them independent. They're gonna require the NFIP guidelines, the FEMA guidelines to be followed, the building code is gonna have to be followed to a certain extent, so you just can't, you're not gonna be able to put them in the front and rear setbacks, they're part of the structure.
Okay. I do have one question, Tim. I know a little bit later, down in the agenda, we're gonna vote on the parking spaces. How does this cargo lift being in the front, or actually?
It cannot be put, that's why, you see, you can go either the front or the rear
Right.
and get in that setback, but not both. Or you can't have it
Right.
Can't encroach on both sides. We have the same thing for stairs.
Okay.
And when it comes to parking places, when they bring in one of those applications, it has to come with a site plan, which shows their parking, their required parking, especially if we don't have one on file.
Right.
Jana's gonna review it, and it won't be able to cut the parking places in half. We're gonna get to that in a little bit.
Okay,
Yeah.
gotcha. So on this one also, do we also need a consistency statement from you on this?
Anything that is land use will require a consistency statement. So
Okay.
yes, this is a text amendment. Anything from the 150 on numbers, it's gonna require a consistency statement.
Okay. So we're gonna vote on the language that's in this and for a consistency statement to be brought back to us.
That's right.
Okay.
And is it, sorry, Tim, is this, so 15760 that we're looking at, is this brand new or did you change? I don't see any.
The 15 is a new
It's
section.
Oh, it's-
Just section 15 is new.
It's this.
Oh, 15, okay, got
Yeah,
it.
and we may have amended some internal sections to collaborate with it, but it would have been minor text changes. But that's the only actual language change.
Has there anybody that has attempted to put in Lewis platform that puts it in front that, I mean, has people like, you know, how we've decided we can't have pools in front of the houses because for, you know, impervious grounds or the way it looks, whatever. Has there been an issue previously that some people push back on seeing the car builders?
No, no. What you get pushback on is that if they haven't, what happens is that they want to put them on the side because they don't want to cut their decks, because the decks are pushed right up to their setback limit. And so no one wants them on the side because now those things are 4 and 5 feet wide. They're gonna take up the whole side setback. So typically, it's hard for them to get approval from the Board of Adjustments. And then it's even harder if it can be argued that they could go up through their decks.
Yeah.
You follow what I'm saying? So the Board of Adjustments wanted them to have an option, so maybe we could limit. Cargo lifts are our #1 Board of Adjustment variance request.
Wow.
Yeah. And to be honest with you, they're not that encroaching, you know what I mean? And what I mean by that is that a lot of times you don't even know they're there. You know, depending on, because of the way they're designed. There's more than you think in the front yard right now. Because if they had enough room to put them in the front without jumping in their setbacks, in a lot of areas they can do that. This really helps on canal lots.
Okay, so we're gonna vote on, is there any more questions, discussion on this? No? So we're gonna vote on approving the text number 15 and for consistency statement to be brought back to us by Tim.
We need to do a motion first?
We're gonna do a vote first, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because what'll happen is this is gonna show up, the next public notice, these are gonna show up as text amendments with consistency statements, and anyone that wants to come speak on the matter before you give the final approval will have access to it.
Okay.
We don't have to do it this way, but for the last, I want to say 8 or 9 years, I have really double whammied it everywhere, so that the public would have access, you know,
Right.
instead of just ramming it through. Okay.
Okay, so like I said, we're gonna vote. All in favor for the text number 15 and for a consistency statement to be brought back to us? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? And the vote's unanimous again. All right. So we're gonna move on to number 9. Discussion of amendments to the floodplain ordinance, chapter 154, to adopt a section regarding flood zone AO as required by the North Carolina Department of Public Safety and FEMA.
Yeah, it was, in 2018, when the flood maps were approved, that designation wasn't official yet. FEMA has now made that an official designation, and they have it mapped now. And so we have to add it to our NFIP in order to get credits for it, and we have to start enforcing it. So, has to be added.
Can you just explain point 1 though, just so I understand? I know I have to, but when you say if you can go above 2 feet of the highest adjacent grade, so if your neighboring grade is, you can go 2 feet above your neighbor, if you're in that zone, is that what the?
I don't know where you're reading that from.
Point one, a freeboard of 2 feet above the highest adjacent grade, or at least 2 feet above the highest adjacent grade if no depth number is specified.
All right. Okay, are you talking about in feet plus a freeboard of 2 feet above the highest adjacent grade? That's actually talking about the freeboard, actually above adjacent grade and has to be 2 feet above that. That is referencing the rate map elevation number. Like if it's 11 from the adjacent grade, okay? Or if it's 11 feet above BFE and your adjacent grade is 5, then you measure the difference between the two and you have to add 2 feet. That's what that number is. That's how you get your base flood elevation plus your DFE. Your 2 feet is your DFE. Yeah. That's what it's actually referencing your base flood elevation as measured from adjacent grade.
But if there's no depth number specified? at
The
this
depth
point-
number specified is that on the firm map.
Okay.
And those were all approved back in 2018. We keep copies of them in the office, and you can actually look it up online. You can go look with your address, and it'll tell you your base flood elevation is 12, but you got to know what your grade is. So if your BFE and your grade are the exact same thing, you got to be at least 2 feet above. That's a number we use every day. We have to use that every day. That's how we tell people building like you're supposed to.
The height of the house is impacted by this, obviously.
Yep, the height is definitely impacted by it. It also impacts fill, stormwater fill. That plays a major role from where we start to where we end. Gets pretty complicated over there sometimes.
Sure. Any other questions or discussion on this? So we're gonna vote to adopt this section 154.24 and to have a consistency statement brought back to us, to the board by Tim. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All noes? Again, it's unanimous. Okay, number 10, a possible text amendment to the town's floodplain ordinance 154.21H2 and 154.36 C2 and C2C to reduce the square footage of accessory structures from 150 feet to 150 square feet to 100 square feet per FEMA guidelines. Discussion and questions.
So this is based, and could you explain why?
Okay, the reason being is that when our ordinance was originally written, our NFIP, it was originally written starting back in 1983, and the amendments over time, text amendments and stuff, somehow managed to leave a number in there that penalizes us during our CRS rating program. They recommend 100 square feet. If you go to 150 square feet, you end up with all kinds of issues for the enclosures. Number one, it causes your insurance to go up to have an accessory. Number two, it becomes an obstruction. Number three, so this was the actual recommendation of the North Carolina Department of Public Safety through FEMA for us to reduce this from 150 to 100. If you ride down the beach, you don't see any accessory structures because on this island, because we consider everything to be B-zone standards except for X-zone, they're going to be considered an obstruction, and there's only a handful of places where you could have one anyway. Yeah.
Okay.
because you can only use the usable area, and everybody builds their houses right up into the setbacks. That leaves no usable area,
Right.
and you can't put it on a dome. So basically, why not reduce it so we get the max amount of points?
Exactly. Do you have any other questions?
Same thing.
Okay, same thing, we'll vote to change the text and for a consistency statement to be brought back to the board. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Vote is unanimous again. Okay, moving on to number 11. Possible adoption of town definitions 157.006 to include requirements for parking spots on private property.
Tim, can you walk me through this? I was trying to read
Yeah,
it, and I
this
was like,
one-
why are we doing
This,
this?
well, here's why we're doing this. Parking is one of the most important things on this beach, especially for property owners. We know that a lot of people like to rent their homes and like to put as many people as they possibly can. Whenever you apply for a building permit in the building department, our ordinances require X amount of parking spaces for every bedroom. One. So if you're supposed to have 6 parking spaces, then you're supposed to have 6 parking spaces. Now, if you have 6 parking spaces and you decide that you, and your whole, underneath your house is open, and you decide you want to put in an enclosure with a garage door, and you have depicted your parking places as being one of those where there was no garage door, then there's no way that it will work. You're going to end up with people parking in the street because you don't have enough parking spaces because the garage door is down. You've lost the parking space. So, and this happens all the time. So the definition before did not provide a clear statement as to, the ordinance was clear about what you needed, but was not clear about how to maintain it in case someone wanted to do that. So we had we had what you see here, what we had was an open parking place where they took one of their parking places and then attempted to draw it through where a garage door was at. In other words, half the car's on one side of the garage door and half's on the other. And so I don't think that we could deny that one because we did not have a rule or definition that would restrict it, so we didn't, because the benefit of the doubt goes to the person. The problem was, it made me realize that just how many of those have we had to approve or not paid attention to because it was not part of the ordinance. It wasn't defined as somewhere you couldn't have a parking place. It was actually Jana that picked it up and caught it. So it's hard to say how many people had 6 bedrooms, 6 parking places that was open underneath their house and then came back 5 years later and then closed it with 2 garage doors and now they're missing 2 parking places. Unless they leave the garage door. So what we wanted to do was define that you couldn't use an area that was petitioned, you know what I mean, or would be petitioned in some way as a parking space. And we actually gave you, I think, the example of the same house
Yes.
that shows that there's no problem one way, there's definitely a problem the other way. So we just want, and it'll be a while, so this will get advertised and people will be aware of it. And we won't be doing anything with the non-conforming ones. There's nothing we can do. But just like all other non-conforming stuff, when they bring like an upgrade to the house, if they add a bedroom and then they start trying to show their parking places, then they're gonna have to make arrangements to come up with a parking place if they want to upgrade, which is the way all non-conformings works. You gotta bring it into compliance. But until then, they're welcome to,
Grandfathered in.
yeah, they're grandfathered.
Okay.
And what it'll do is it'll slowly, if there was any, which I'm sure there was, it'll slowly bring them into compliance. You know what I mean? And it'll be at their own will if they want to go that route.
So I have a question. So based on where your house is and how it's sited, then if someone wants to, well, this could prohibit then people making, expansion, or upgrades to their house. And then-
Well, you would be, if you didn't have a parking place, you couldn't do it anyway. You can't find the parking spaces on the property, you couldn't expand anyway.
No, but I'm saying there's houses we know have many bedrooms, and I'm thinking of, I don't see how they can even have the right amount of parking spaces to
Well,
begin with.
It's weird how them parking places are, and we changed that now. Remember, when we addressed the big house issue by having the graduated lot sizes, we also addressed those minimum parking sizes, and we actually made them bigger. You had to have bigger parking places, and you also had to stay out of setbacks. Whereas
But
before,
like
you
the
could
big-
park all over everywhere.
The big 16-bedroom down on the west end doesn't have 16 parking spaces.
Yes. Yeah, we have to verify that about once every 3 months. It actually has a little more. Yeah. Same thing with this house over here that has 11 bedrooms. We've had to verify it had enough parking places 3 or 4 times. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Before we address that, they have enough parking places because they were allowed to use anything that was outside the, but see, we addressed that in
14?
Big house issue I think I want to say 2017, it was 2018 or 2019 when we finally got it to a vote, and did the graduated setbacks with the new parking areas. So, in other words, it'd be hard pressed to do what they did down there now, because the parking places have to be, every parking place would require them to find 2 more feet, length and width. Nowhere, and they couldn't put it in the setbacks. See, some of these older houses that are on oceanfront, they're showing parking places all the way up to the property line. Yeah, can't do that now.
All right, so everyone is grandfathered in, that's for net new
It would only be for new stuff.
stuff.
Or when they ask to make changes.
And that's what happened here. They came in for an upgrade and, you know what I mean? They wanted to add garage doors. That's what we ended up with, or something happened there.
Just so I understand fully then, Tim, so under house space does not count for a parking space?
Under a house space does. If they can get to it, they can.
So long as,
Yeah.
and you're saying if there's a garage door entered
Right.
into the equation, that goes poof, right?
Right.
Do I understand?
That's right. In other words, when you put a car in there, or if you got 2 spots in there, a lot of them do, you got the next one pulled in and then one behind you, and that, you know what I mean, and that's your parking places. Well, if that garage door can come down and you can't park there, you really don't have that parking space. You don't have it. And that's what we realize is happening. If you ride down the road, you know what I mean, you can see that it's not an issue until they decide years later to enclose, which you can, the underneath your home. Because before, nothing was impeding that parking space. And so we didn't, if you're enclosing it and not adding the bedrooms, what have you got? Got plenty of parking places. So we're not looking for parking places without an addition of a bedroom. And because the parking, remember, the parking definition did not include partitions, then we would have no reason to turn you down if you wanted to cut some of your parking places in half. Now, if you put petitions under there, we caught that every time. Or when people were putting swimming pools under the houses before we stopped that, we caught those as well. A lot of times people couldn't do it because they didn't have enough parking places. But now we don't allow it anyway. So, yeah, we've been trying to help with the parking situation since the first committee was formed in 2013.
Any other questions? No?
These are really all just text amendments, they're minor stuff.
I'm going to vote on the adoption to the town's definition of one parking space on private property. Also, a consistency statement is coming back. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. No? It's unanimous. Have any public comments or comments from any of the board members? No?
Only comment would be thank you, folks. Appreciate what you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I don't know if everybody knows, but this everybody should know Jana by now.
Yes.
Jana, she's the zoning officer and the CAMA officer. She's also clerk to this board. This is Carrie. Carrie is the planning and inspections, plan reviewer and the inspector. She's the one doing most of the work now, her and her. They do most of the work.
Thank you so much for doing what you do.
They're doing a wonderful job, but I just want to introduce you to them, and I want to welcome y'all and tell y'all, thank y'all for being willing to serve. I'm excited about this planning board. I like what I think I see. I think we're going to be able to do some stuff that might have been reluctant to do in the past, but I think we can get some things done to help the town.
That's
And
our
we
main
can-
objective.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. We appreciate you guys very much. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you.
Welcome to the new board members. And motion to adjourn?
Second, first, whatever.
Second.
Okay. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Excellent. Good job, you guys.